Hey, what's going on, guys? We are back with another edition of the Zero Hour. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Ready to kick it off with a bang. It's Aries 14 going down. Tim Lloyd, Jeff Hobbs, and we are going to break down the card as we always do. Jeff, excited to kick off 2023 with a fun one at the Joe this Friday night. Aries 14 going down. We're going to chop it up.
Yeah, I'm oddly excited about this card too. Not that I'm not always excited about our cards, but there's just something about these top two fights that have just really got me stoked, and I can't wait to go over the whole card, but I definitely can't wait to talk about those last two.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel, folks. Do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, and you'll get notifications when we post new content. We've got a interview up here on the channel with the three members of Scorpion Fighting Systems, who will talk about throughout this breakdown, and of course the aforementioned top two fights, both female fights, are in our main and co-main event. I'm really excited to break all those down, and some interesting debuts as well. We've got some blue chip prospects on this card as well. D1 wrestlers and more. So, before we get into it, I'll let you play the spot and kind of set the mood, and we'll dive into this thing.
All right.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Aries Fight Series returns to the world-famous Cotton Eye Joe on January 6th. We start 2023 off with a bang with 12 professional and amateur bouts. See some of the most exciting up-and-coming fighters on the regional scene as they face off inside the Aries cage. Get your tickets now at fightertix.com.
All right, man. Tim, let's just jump right into it. Shit, let's go. Recent late edition. We've got Dustin Garrett with DC Combat out of Murphy, North Carolina, going to be grappling against Corey Heinsohn from Rowan Wrestling out of Concord, North Carolina.
Yeah, kicking it off here. Well, one we just added this week, just to kind of flesh out the card. We've had the dropout bug has hit us here pretty hard over the last few days. So, appreciate both these guys stepping up. Dustin Garrett, a guy we're, no stranger to. We've seen him in most of his bouts have been with us. Getting ready to turn pro, actually, is Dustin Garrett here in the coming months. He's going to be taking on Corey Heinsohn out of that Rowan Wrestling Academy, like you mentioned. He is now the fourth member of that team competing on this card. And, we've seen him quite a bit as well. Last time out, took part in the first ever tag team combat jiu-jitsu, and now he's coming back out to face a more experienced opponent in Dustin Garrett, a guy that we broke down several of his fights, and he is more a grappler by trade. I expect this to be high action, and I think that it's definitely good for Dustin, I think, to kind of get in there and kind of I don't want to say shake the rust off, but just prepare himself for March when he's going to go pro. And then of course Corey is going to be cornering lots of his teammates throughout the card as we go. So this will be a good one to start us off.
Yeah, I like this one for a couple of reasons. One, I just love it for the fact that these guys were already coming, and they're just always ready to be involved, throw down, stay active. Say where they were already coming for teammates, and then just kind of decided, what the hell, let's get involved too. I'm already going to be there. So you got to love the guys that truly want to stay active. In any opportunity, they're like, nah, it's just a kickboxing, or nah, it's just a grappling. They don't care. I get to go compete I'm already going to be there. So I love that aspect of it. And like you said, Dustin Garrett's got to knock some rust off, but I also like the fact that Corey Heinsohn, I think this is, he's been in there just with some tough dudes and in some tough situations. And even when he's tried to maybe kind of like back it down a little bit and say, okay, well, I'll just do this to kind of stay active and get my feet. Well, then he does combat jujitsu, not just jujitsu and the grappling. He does combat jujitsu, which is, it's a rough way to go, man, getting those open palm smacks. So I really like the fact that he can just get in there and settle down, not have to worry about any of the outside factors or, this is this kind of fight, or it's going to be this kind of fight, or I don't have to worry about, this or that. He can literally just go in and kind of just chill and just grapple. And I think that's going to be great for him to get in and compete without thinking about open palm strikes, to his face and things like that. So definitely excited, to watch both these guys do their thing, focus, that skill set with just the grappling. but definitely just really stoked that they jumped on last minute and helped add another bout to the card for the fans. Um, After that, we are going to hell, Tim. We're just going to jump right into MMA the rest of the night.
Yeah, the rest of the way, man. No kickboxing on this one.
No kickboxing, no tag teams. I mean, this is pretty much just a straight MMA card.
Mhm.
Next bout of the evening, sponsored by the fine folks at Twisted Tea. Don't forget that. It's going to be Alex Dees from Pride Wrestling, Cleveland, Tennessee, taking on Ryan Dirksen from Wolves Den Martial Arts. We haven't seen Wolves Den in a little while. Adam Sylvie called and wanted to throw a guy on. So here we've got Ryan Dirksen and Alex Dees.
Yeah, we've seen Alex Dees compete in all three of his bouts. He's come up on the short end on all of them thus far. But this is going to be a bantamweight fight, and Alex is, I always thought Alex was kind of a decent size 145. He's going to be a really big 135. Obviously, a good wrestling background. Wrestled at Bradley, state qualifier, and you've seen it in his fights. He can wrestle. He's just kind of had a hard time tying it all together. In MMA, here he'll have the experience advantage in arguably. For the first time, all of his other fights have been guys that have either trained longer than him or had more fights than him, or so I expect this to be a pretty competitive fight here against Ryan Dirksen, who we don't know much about. Like you mentioned, Wolves Den in Madisonville, Tennessee, is where Ryan Dirksen will be coming out of, and Adam Sylvie, we have seen his coach fight many times, and he's one of a new crop of guys at Wolves Den. There's a couple guys that are going to be coming out here in the coming months that we're going to see from them, and I'm excited. I don't have a whole lot of background on Ryan, but if Adam's putting him out there, I assume he's ready to represent him, and this would be a good MMA fight to get us going. He'll either get Wolves Den, some momentum going into the year, or Alex D's going to turn around and get that first win. Spoke to Alex just recently here today. I lost contact with him for a couple of days, but he's serviced. He's ready to rock and roll, and that'll be our first MMA fight. And like you mentioned, that Twisted Tea is going to have that Twisted TKO belt. Yes. I don't know if the people have seen it on our social media, but it's pretty sweet, and it's something that we're excited to give away for our knockout or TKO of the night. You're going to have a really sweet belt to go home with as a nice memento.
I think out of everybody on the card, Mary Rosenbeck has got that Twisted Tea belt highlighted on her things to do list this weekend. But you mentioned the weight class on this, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and everything is straight and there's not any typos on our end. You said bantamweight fight. I've got it listed as a catchweight fight. Is it 140 or is it 135?
Okay, yeah, good call there. That is a 135 fight. That is bantamweight fight, so that's my typo. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Hey, I just want to make sure that that we've got it right. So no catchweight on this one. Dees and Dirksen is a bantamweight showdown. We talked about one Garrett, Tim. We're going to move right into Old Man River himself, Dan Garrett. He was the original Garrett on the card. Mm-hmm. Dustin was the late addition, but Dan Garrett going to be taking on Jacob Keaton. Garrett, also DC Combat, Murphy, North Carolina. Jacob Keaton, Somerset Martial Arts, Somerset, Kentucky. And Keaton's debut, Dan Garrett's five-time vet in the cage for his amateur career. But tell us about this one, Tim, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this may be the first time. This may be the shortest age gap in Dan Garrett's career.
It very much is. We've got near a century's worth combined age here. But I'm excited for this one. Actually, Dan Garrett has been in there with some really tough guys. He's obviously got a wrestling background, and you can tell he's very strong. I say it every time I see him. If I can look like that at 55, then I'll be winning in life because he looks great at his age.
Now,
no doubt. Dan Garrett's gonna be taking on Jacob Keaton. First time we've seen him, he's out of Ian Lawler's Somerset Martial Arts up there in Kentucky. He's 40, and so that's kind of when we started looking at this one. I was like, yeah, this is Ian didn't want him in there against just one of these absolute young bucks for his first fight, and Dan has got the experience advantage here, but. From what I could gather in pictures, it looks like Jacob Keaton's going to be a pretty big guy at 165. So we'll see if the nerves get to him. It looks like he's got a pretty good fan base coming down from Kentucky to support him, and that'll be a fun one here on the undercard to see which one of these gentlemen get that dub.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. This one could be fun. Our friends at Warriors Den, Jose and the crew at Warriors Den. One of the cool things, I used to go work their shows a lot. and they had a Dan Garrett of sorts in their area, and those were really fun fights when he got to also compete against someone else kind of at that same stage in life, doing these things for the same reasons. And I imagine this is going to be the exact same feeling. Dan has not shied away from the young bucks in the game. Uh, you know, and Tim, hell, man, we post our videos and we'll get shit from the keyboard warriors out there about the old man in the cage, how this and that. Listen, like you said, Dan Garrett is in better shape now at this age than most of us are 20 years younger than he is right now. And he's not in there getting just mollywopped and squashed. He trains. He's not just off the street. And why not? He puts in the work. He deserves to compete just like everybody else. He passes all the protocol. He does the blood work. And why not compete? So I think it's really cool, though, that we've got someone on the other side in the same boat. I'm more intrigued for some reason. This Jacob Keaton seems to be pretty popular in Somerset.
Mhm.
It looks like ticket sales have been pretty good for Jacob Keaton. And it sounds like there's a lot of people outside of just Jacob Keaton that are looking forward to Jacob Keaton fighting, and they're going to be making the trip to Knoxville this Friday night. So definitely excited for this one, man. Next, we have one of the three Scorpion Fighting System crew coming down
Mhm.
from Michigan, Lansing, I believe, and Spencer Rivas with a 2-0 record will be taking on Noah Basinger from the Rowan Wrestling Academy. It's Noah's debut, but I've heard a lot about him. This is a featherweight bout, and a little history you're going to tell everybody about with Spencer Rivas, who was previously scheduled to fight someone else on this card. So this is part of a reshuffle and different weight class than what Rivas was looking for.
Well, both of these guys actually were booked versus other guys. So props to both of them for rolling with the punches and kind of making adjustments where we needed. Originally, it was to be Spencer Rivas against Kobe Ford. Kobe Ford got a little flighty last week, and so Spencer, long way to travel coming from Michigan. We wanted to make sure that he had a solid opponent, not to get down here and then not have anything work out for him. So we ended up also having the opponent for Basinger was going to be Devin Senior from American Top Team, and he ended up separating a rib. So Basinger was going to be fighting 135 for that fight. Rivas typically has fought at 135 for most of his fights, but with the travel, they wanted to do 145 this time versus cutting on an 8-hour drive down here. So he was going to be 45, and this fight will still be at 45 as Basinger will come up from 35 to 45. According to his teammates, he was actually pretty stoked to hear that he didn't have to cut those extra 10 pounds here this week. So he was happy to do it. And, we saw Basinger at the last show. He was the tag team partner of Corey Hinson in that combat tag team bout. And he's a college wrestling recruit at Montreat College there in North Carolina. I think that this is one of those early fights that could go the distance. Even though neither guy has a whole lot of experience, I think the base of both, well, first, Rivas has gone the distance in both of his previous fights. So he's shown that's, has a proclivity for that. But Basinger, having that wrestling background, even with it being his first fight, he had the combat or the tag team combat BJJ match, which went several minutes. I think that we're going to get all the rounds here, most likely. Don't know which way to lean. The experience of Rivas would make him maybe a favorite on paper, but the wrestling background of Basinger is certainly going to even the playing field, I think.
Yeah, and I'm interested. Just again, the Scorpion Fighting System. We know their history with female fighters, which goes back a long way. UFC veterans from that camp. So this will be the first time I have been introduced to a male fighter from Scorpion Fighting System, because I've always just been around or have a history with the female. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. He's traveling with two females who are leading the top of the card. So I'm sure it's a little pressure. My teammates are co-main event and main event, and here I'm on the first part of the show. And
you got to get the momentum going.
Yeah. But that was my point. Is it is him that is going to set the tone. While the intermission happens and the next three fights and another intermission, it's going to be his momentum coming back to that dressing room. That could set the tone for the rest of the team and the rest of the fight. his teammate Sierra Buxton has got a title fight at the end of the night, and you mentioned that Twisted Tea belt. These other two, competitors from Scorpion, hey, if somebody else might come home with the belt, we want to might come home with the belt too.
Yeah.
So they have something that they are fighting for as well. I know they'd love to take two belts back to Michigan if they have the opportunity. But Basinger, a lot of good things, hearing out of that rowing camp about him. One of the things that I noticed online, someone posted, which is 100% true, is these rowing guys do not run away from a fight. Here we've got a debut, which, you've got the nerves already, first time jumping in the cage. And we're jumping in with a 2-0 guy from a pretty reputable gym up north that we really probably can't do a lot of research on. It's not like one of these other local gyms that, compete with us, that they have an idea, well, this is what that gym usually puts out and things like that. So
Mhm.
it's a complete unknown for the rowing crew when it comes to Basinger's opponent. But that says a lot about their mindset over there, that they're willing to just jump in and test the waters. We are going to, after the Basinger Rivas fight, we'll have a short intermission. When we come back after the intermission, our first fight of the evening, sponsored by Valerie Kemp, CPA, right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, certified public accountant, on for the 2023 fight year for us. So we're happy to have her. A featherweight bout between Guardian MMA's Blake Grant and Rowan Wrestling's Scotty Everhart.
Yeah, this one's another one that we've been looking forward to. Blake Grant, we saw debut at the last card. He was very impressive. One of the guys that really kind of just, put on a performance that lingered in our minds. And he's going to be dropping down to 45 now. That fight was in 155. Now he's immediately going down to 145, which I think he'll be a pretty good sized guy at 45. We're fighting out of Guardian in Murfreesboro, and he's well put together, has a nice little fan base that travels over from Middle Tennessee, and looking to get to 2-0. Great guy to work with. Blue belt, I believe, in BJJ. Scotty Everhart, I think, also is a blue belt, if I'm not mistaken, out of that Rowan Wrestling Academy, 0-1. He dropped his debut on a Titans of the Cage show up in Virginia. Our friends the Rings run that, and so he'll be looking to get that first dub against Blake Grant, who will be battling to 145. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles that weight cut for the first time. Everhart, I don't have a whole lot of background on because we haven't seen him fight yet. But again, coming out of the Rowan Wrestling Academy, they're looking to make a statement, man. They're looking to establish themselves. I think this is going to. We saw them kind of come on the scene at the end of 2022. And stayed fairly busy through the end of the year. Now this year, I think they're really going to be on the scene in a heavy way. So I think that they're looking to kind of just make their mark and kind of show people what they're about. It's obvious that they don't shy away from tough fights. They're all in very tough fights on this card, and so and they've always been in pretty tough fights. So props to them. They don't turn down nothing but the collars, and it's gonna be a fun one, I think, with Scotty and Blake here kicking off this middle portion of the card.
I agree. The things that are intriguing about Scotty Everhart are the same we just talked about with Noah Basinger. So I think kind of the same story there with the tough gym, not turning anybody down. For me, it's the Blake Grant kind of hype. Just kind of seeing where we go now in this sophomore outing for Blake Grant. A little anticipation. We tried to get him on a earlier card. It didn't work out. This last card in Nashville, the underground card, we tried to see him there. Was hoping to do that because it would have been close to a hometown fight, but this just worked out better for Blake. But last time he was at Cotton Eye Joe with us, a surprisingly contingency of Blake Grant fans there. So he traveled well. And it wasn't one of those pre-sales where you could maybe see it growing. It just they showed up. Large contingency of our walk-up tickets that night had to have been courtesy of Blake Grant. So you see kind of the momentum. He's got a solid background, and it showed in the cage. He looked really good in his first outing as an amateur MMA fighter. So I think the intrigue more for me comes from the Blake Grant side, but the story is still there with Scotty Everhart, just like all those Rowan guys on, just being amazed at their willingness to just jump out there and test themselves and truly look at an amateur MMA career as I may win a fight, but I'm always going to learn. I'm always going to learn something from this. And if I lose, I'm going to take something away. So looking at their amateur career that way, like it doesn't hurt me to step out there and learn something new that might just happen in a loss. So I love their outlook when it comes to this.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that their mindset is good, especially with them being a new kind of startup gym. A lot of the times you're going to see the guys that are running those gyms or coaching those guys up. They're going to have soft entries. They're going to make sure that they get wins in those first fights. So they're off to the right foot and everything looks good to the public eye, potential customers and client base, and you know what I'm saying. And these guys they're not taking that safety first approach. They're putting themselves out there. They're taking tough fights, and they're going to get better because of it, and they're going to get more opportunities because of it as well. So I feel like their mind is definitely in the right place. And speaking of, before we get to this next one, some people that get your mind in the right place, Smoky Mountain CBD. Shout out to our sponsor, Smoky Mountain CBD. Of course, they're on for the 2023 season as well, and they always hook our sponsors up with just some really, really nice swag bags. We shout them out. You check them out at SmokyMountainCBD.com. If you got a VIP table, and I think we might have one left that just came open for sale. If you want it, folks, you can get it at FighterTix.com. You get a really badass Smoky Mountain CBD swag bag that's got some really dank stuff in it. It'll have your mind right. Want to go over a couple of their new products here they just sent me. They've got a new roll-on stick that is for pain and aches. They've had the salve in the jars, but now they've got these roll-on sticks. It's super easy to apply, and this stuff works super quick. My posture's bad, and I'm constantly having backaches and whatnot. I'll get my wife to roll some of that on my back. Be feeling good about 2 or 3 minutes later. Also got 2 new kinds of gummies. I got the extra strength Delta 8 gummies, 50 milligrams a piece in those bad boys, and then the new extra strength balance gummies, 15 milligrams of CBD and 15 milligrams of THC as well. So check them out, SmokyMountainCBD.com. We'll see them at the show. Make sure you check them out and get some of those goodies. Jeff, let's get back to it.
Yeah, and just for the record again, got to be easy $300, $200 to $300, if not more, worth of product in those bags. And I will vouch for the stick. I've been using it on my elbow nightly, but I had to tear down our cage the other day with me and just a small crew of 2 people. And when I got home, took a hot shower, I Smoky Mountained my whole body after that day, and it really does wonders. Like I said, my elbow's been giving me problems, and that stick has been a godsend being able to roll that on. So definitely happy to have Smoky Mountain CBD on again for 2023. And for you fools that every once in a while accidentally leave some product on your table, I thank you as well, because I come behind you and I snag it up. But moving on, we are jumping from featherweights to heavyweights. 265-pound weight limit in the cage. We have, sponsored by Tranquility Construction, another re-up for this year. For the 2023 year, Tranquility has been with us pretty much since the beginning, and so we are excited to have them back on again. But this bout's going to see Outlook MMA's Blake Mitchell, who's 0-1 right now, but had a great showing his first time out with us. Again, making that trip from Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be going against Corbin, Kentucky's Trevor Parker, representing Carlson Gracie.
Now, this one is kind of a low-key sleeper for fight of the night here, and we may get that Twisted T KO belt on one of these guys. Blake Mitchell comes in at 0-1, like you mentioned. His first fight, he wasn't with Outlook. I want to say it was with Swift Kick on that initial fight, and now he is with Lance Patrick and Outlook, so it'll be interesting to see how his game has evolved there. This is a former, college football player at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, offensive lineman, as well as a highly, decorated high school player from up in your neck of the woods, I want to say, up towards Austin Peay. But he's a big athletic guy. He was in a very tough bout in his debut against Rick Randolph, a guy that we probably need to get back down here. But he is, he went, I want to say that fight went late into the 3rd round, and it was a slugfest. He showed a lot of tenacity, a lot of toughness, and he's a very deceptive 0-1, that's for sure. He's very athletic, he's very strong, and I'm be interested to see what he looks like here against Trevor Parker, who is 1-0. He won his debut actually at super heavyweight. He was supposed to fight at heavyweight. His opponent went MIA on us, and then he ended up stepping up in weight and giving up 50 plus pounds, man, it may be more like 60 pounds to his opponent. And he got an armbar there in the first round. It's odd seeing heavyweights, spin off for arm bars, but it shows he's well trained by Kevin Barberina up there at Carlson Gracie. This is probably still a step, even though Blake Mitchell's 0-1, I still think this is a step up in competition for him from his debut win. So, man, I'm excited for this one. I think this is the fight that is going to be fireworks. I don't know that it will end early. It could, but I think I could see these guys really trading some big blows, and maybe one of these guys getting that twisted TKO belt.
Yeah. The weight class says it all. It is what it is. Heavyweights. You see them on the card, and you're anticipating violence. You're anticipating just kind of that one hitter quitter for the night. It doesn't always happen, but the anticipation that it can happen at any second still keeps you on the edge of your seat. Even as you start going minutes, you know that any second one connection in that small MMA glove could end it. And I'm like you, man. I just don't. It could go the distance. We have seen, crazier things where we damn near would guarantee a knockout and we go to a judge's decision. It can happen, but I'm like you, I don't expect it to happen in this one. You got two guys young in their career, one 1-0, the other 0-1. One guy's felt victory, the other guy is wanting to taste it, so bad right now. He's switched gyms, he's with a new camp, and he wants it bad. Trevor Parker wants to feel it again. Blake Mitchell wants to feel it for the first time. So they're both going to go for it. So I can't imagine we're going to be walking around the cage collecting scorecards on this one. I'm like you. I feel like this could be the leader for that Twisted Tea belt. But again, we may end up in a pretty tough predicament at the end of the night because there are a lot of people that want it. Can you imagine if we have to pick out of a group of KOs or TKOs within the night? I don't think the gods are going to smile.
Yeah, man.
Give us one to make it easy. They're going to make it tough on us and make us pick one. But again, Carlson Gracie, the Barberina crew up there, they've been super cool to work with, and they have really, social media wise, pushed the events so nicely, and they're great to work with. And I'm just intrigued now to see maybe the changes. I know Mitchell hasn't been with Lance Patrick and Outlook MMA very long, but I'm interested to see what kind of possible changes we may see in him. He was tough as nails his first time in, so I'm kind of intrigued to see what kind of tweaks that his change over in camp does in his game. All right, the last fight of this kind of middle section here, sponsored by Spectation Sports, who we have re-upped again for the 2023 year. We did that back in October, but as far as looking at calendar years, it is January 2023, and we will be with Spectation Sports the remainder of this year. Spectation Sports now holding, before you just caught us on Spectations when there were professionals on the card. If you haven't noticed since October, we are there, professionals, pro-ams, and all amateur shows. It is the new exclusive. Don't get caught up in all that social media spamming that is about to hit. If you're watching it, I don't care what it says. I don't care what link it gives you. There is only one place to watch Aries Fight Series, and it's on Spectation Sports with an S, not sport, that will send you to these crazy looking websites. It is the exclusive and only place to watch our fights. This next bout, welterweight division, Austin Sauls, another seems to be highly anticipated based on ticket sales debut out of Leo's Jiu-Jitsu out of Maryville, Tennessee. Austin Sauls will be taking on Anson Phillips, another debut, and another cat coming to us from the Rowan Wrestling Academy out of Concord, North Carolina.
Yeah, Austin Sauls, I've been in contact with him now for, it seems like, nearly a year. He was stationed in the military over in Japan, but he's originally here from East Tennessee, Maryville, where I'm from, actually. And he reached out. He's very interested in what we were doing, and he'd been doing some competitions over in Japan. It was really more like grappling and jiu-jitsu competitions. some combative type stuff. But this is technically his debut. He has had some experience over there competing, we'll say. I really don't know what to expect from Austin. I know he's very eager. He's got a great fan base that's coming out to support him. He's just came home from Japan maybe a month or so ago, and he's here now. He's looking to stay busy. He's looking to get on the March card. So it's I'm excited to see what he can do. Leo's jiu-jitsu, if I'm not mistaken, was his team over there in Japan. Maybe he just hasn't quite latched on with a new team now that he's moved home. I know he told me he'd been going over to some of the high school wrestling gyms and get work in with the wrestlers and whatnot over in Maryville. So excited to see Austin, see what he can do, man. He's been great to work with. They've been leading up to this debut with us for several months now. Anson Phillips, what I can gather, is like the alpha over there. He's the highly touted prospect. They're all very high on him. I met him outside of the Joe at the last event when his fight. We weren't able to get him matched on that card, but he was very adamant about getting on this card. You can tell he's put together, very, very well in shape. And looking at his bio, he's a North Carolina, decorated North Carolina wrestler. The USA Wrestling over there as well. So coming from that Rowan Wrestling, I've kind of peeped a little bit of their social media. I want to say he's one of the instructors over there, actually. So looking forward to seeing what Anson Phillips could do. He seems to be the one that they are most kind of touting as that's the guy. So at 170, that's a division that certainly could use a little spicing up with that title's vacant right now. And so I think that both these guys will be hungry to make their name in that division and have the unenviable task of eventually taking on Ron Humphrey.
So congratulations. And we talk about all these young cats from Rowan Wrestling, and they're all jumping in, feet first, head first, really, and supporting each other. But every gym needs that alpha too. That's that person in the gym that is kind of that, I don't know, that leader in a sense. Every gym seems to have one. The guy that may be a step ahead or maybe a little closer in the process, or could be our next guy, and that everyone feeds off of. So it's awesome to hear that Rowan's got a guy in this new team and new gym that fits that bill, that they can all see, like, this could be our first. This could be our first guy to go pro. This could be our first guy to get a big payday. This could be our first guy to be on a big show, or things like that. So definitely some intrigue there. Austin Sauls, know nothing about him. All I know about Austin Sauls is what you've told me and what the numbers show, and that is Austin Sauls has support. He has a fan base. And obviously a fan of what? He hasn't fought before, but a fan of him, his character, the type of person he is. You don't sell tickets like that as an amateur unless you've been a good person. You know what I'm saying? You see all these debuts with this support. Well, you know what? If you were a POS, no one's going to come support you. You got a military background. And speaking of military background, also, Tennessee Army National Guard will be in the house again.
That's right.
Another new sponsor for the whole year. But Austin Sauls, with that military background, highly traveled as a military guy, and this fan support, man, this fan base has got me really intrigued. This, I can see now, this is going to be that point in the card. All these fights are going to be good, Tim. Don't get me wrong. But we've got some out of town guys, a lot of new guys and things like that. But I feel like at this point, this will be probably this is when it's going to start getting kind of rabid when it comes to the fan participation and noise and chirping and
hey, those Maryville and Blount County area fans, they're usually pretty animated too. My cousin Lee comes from that area, and they always are very passionate fans. So I'm expecting us to have a rowdy bunch.
Yeah, I think from this point on is when business, really starts to pick up when it comes to fan participation. All right, another short intermission at this point. It'll be a second one of the night, but when we return from that, We're going to hit that lightweight division, which is a division that just has really come on fire here the last part of 2022. And just like our professional lightweight, the amateur lightweight is hot right now, and there's a lot of really stud prospects right now that are floating around in that division. And we've got Skylar King at 3-5. He's coming from Team Ground and Pound. Don't let the record fool you. Skylar King is a gamer, man, and he's been in there in some tough fights. He's always in a fight, and I like this kid a lot. Like I said, you look at his record 3-5, and you think, okay, kind of a journeyman already, if you will. No, this dude is 100 miles an hour, ready to go for the next fight. Does it the way it's supposed to be done when it comes to pushing events, pushing his fight, social media, sharing, liking, distributing, everything that a promotion puts out, building up to the fight. The kid's doing it the right way, so I like this kid a lot. He is going to be taking on a debut in Brandon Martino, who fitting the bill here of some of these that we've talked about. Brandon Martino, my man, you got some people that like you too, out of Columbia, Tennessee, because I see your little name pop up on my notifications quite often. So it sounds like Brandon Martino is going to have a hell of a crowd there as well at the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. He is from a Profectus BJJ out of Columbia, Tennessee. So a new name that a lot of you guys haven't heard of before. But we've got Skylar King, Tim, against Brandon Martino. Tell us what we need to know about this one.
Man, if I'm not mistaken, this may be the first MMA fighter to come out of Perfectus BJJ. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table. I know that Brandon Martin. But one thing I'll tell you that these guys have in common is both guys are. There'll be people that come about and for whatever reason they're just cursed in that you can't get their fights to hold together. It's like these revolving door of opponents. Skylar King's kind of been one of those guys where, he'll be booked and then his guy will pull. Originally supposed to fight Zay Martin on this card, and Zay Martin pulled a few weeks back. He was the second or third opponent at that point for Skylar. At the same time, running parallel is Brandon Martino, who also had 2 or 3 guys commit to him and then pull out. And, with Skylar, his record is deceiving. He's fought some very tough guys. He's a very durable fighter, though. Purple belt in BJJ. He's skilled. He's good. He's tough. He is no slouch by any means. And it's going to be his birthday, he told me, on Friday night. So he's going to be prepared to celebrate at the Joe. Good spot for it. Brandon Martino, on the other hand, making his debut, blue belt in BJJ at Perfectus, but more importantly, former Division I wrestler at Fresno State. And that is that's kind of the underlying item that prospective opponents picked up on fairly quickly, and then decided that they weren't about that life. So we'll see if he can fight. Obviously, we know he's going to be able to wrestle. We'll see if he can fight. That doesn't always hold true to be the same, but from what I can tell, Brandon Martino is a very good prospect. Very excited to see what he and Perfectus BJJ brings to the table against a formidable opponent, Skylar King at a ground and pound. I saw on his list he's going to have Xavier Horton coming out with him as his corner. That's a guy that we know always brings it. So if those guys are getting working together, he's been putting in the paces.
Yeah, man. Martino and King. I mean, this is going to be another one. It's got a lot of intrigue in it. I can just only imagine how tough that was for you, with those credentials of Martino, trying to find an opponent for him. It seems like here lately we've had an influx of these high-level wrestlers sliding into mixed martial arts or trying to start a pro career with us. So it's a wrestlers have always been around. It's been a huge base for mixed martial arts for a long time. There's nothing new about that, but it just seems like here lately we've been getting these high-level guys, looking to compete. So definitely a lot of intrigue with Martino, but like we said before, man, King is a gamer. He's a fighter. Don't let that 3-5 record fool you. I mean, he's down to throw down, and as I stated before, man, just seems to do everything the right way when it comes to working with a promotion and doing his part. So very nice lightweight fight. Skylar King has the opportunity to kind of turn things around, and again, we're going to we've started working on rankings and getting those things out. Even at a possible 4-5 record, I mean, he's going to be right there just because of his strength of schedule, things like that. And Brandon Martino could definitely just skyrocket himself at 1-0 with his credentials in the division. So it'll be some interesting shakeup here in the coming months with some of this new blood.
I think so too. If you look back at our most recent 155 champion, George Carpenter, another one of these stud wrestlers, collegiate level wrestlers. That could have been really, really good. Ed Martino and Carpenter met up as amateurs. Carpenter, of course, going pro now, but you never know in the future. It sounds like Martino's looking to be on a short track to pro himself from talking to his coaches.
Of the evening, our first one, co-main event, a flyweight bout. You will see Zoe Nowicki from the aforementioned Scorpion Fighting Systems out of Brighton, Michigan, taking on someone who we haven't seen in a long time, Tim. Yancy Alcantara from Shield Systems, Knoxville, Tennessee. Yancy has been out for a while, but she is back. We've got 1-0 versus 2-0. You can't get any better than that. And this one, I think, is going to this one. If those earlier fights got the crowd going, this one I think is going to set it over the edge. Nowicki bringing in a hell of a crowd from Michigan down to Knoxville, Tennessee. So business is about to pick up.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked for this one. And Wiki also in that interview we mentioned earlier that's on the channel. Check that out. She's got some of that it factor going for her. She's got the wrestling credentials. A two-time national wrestling champion in college. Went through the USA Wrestling trials for the Olympics. Plans to do that again. No secret that there. Her bread and butter is wrestling. Yinsi, more of a grappler. I wouldn't say necessarily a wrestler, but more of a grappler. BJJ blue belt under Ben Harrison at Shield Systems. She's going to be well trained. Last time out, it's been 2 years or more since we've seen Yancy. But I mean, she tore through Fatini Candris last time in Knoxville, like really quick. And Fatini is, a pro now and had 15 fights at that point. Like she is very, very good, very skilled. The key, I think, will be this layoff. Will that have hurt her, or has she improved a lot in that time? And she's just added more wrinkles to her game. Nowicki's one of these girls that she's got that base with the wrestling, obviously, that will allow her probably to dictate where this fight goes. But at the same time, Yancy doesn't mind being on the ground. So great fight here. This is one that I'm really stoked for, and hopefully these girls stay regular with us.
Yeah, man, so much intrigue in this one. Obviously, no secret. Nowicki's, like you said, bread and butter is going to be that wrestling, that true hardcore traditional wrestling. Is she going to be able to use it in that kind of way? Wrestlers have been successful against BJJ practitioners where they just know how to stay heavy, close distance, don't open yourself up to get caught, or is taking this into Yancy's wheelhouse, going to leave her open for Yancy, finding something, snatching something. So it's going to be that chess match. That being said, how many times have we sat down with two wrestlers, two grapplers, a wrestler versus grappler, and the damn thing end up standing the whole time, and we're all just dumbfounded. Who knows what's going to happen? I imagine this fight is going to happen on the ground, but it's going to be that chess match, man. Can Nowicki just hold position? We talked about it, like you said, in that interview that we did with her. It's like, hey, that twisted TKO belt's just as much mine as it could be anybody else's. Because when you get in those dominant ground positions, the GNP starts, coming into play.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just down there to hold you down and maybe try to find a sub. A lot of those traditional wrestlers are going to use that base to get you down, but they are looking to hammer fist your face into the canvas, mind you, which will be a brand new canvas this Friday on January 6th. The Aries Fight Series Tennessee Army National Guard canvas will be on display, and we are excited. But yeah, who knows, man? 2 years out of competition is not necessarily a death wish. It's not necessarily a rust issue. If during that 2 years of being away. You have been in the gym religiously and training. That we don't know. We don't have that part of the story. So that'll, I think, be a key factor. Is it just 2 years out of competition, or has there been long periods of time out of the gym? Have you been had to get back in and acquainted with everyone and back in the flow of things to where there was a lot to have to re-pick up again? Who knows? But what we do know is Yancey's a tough ass competitor, and regardless, even if all those things do happen, she has got that just animalistic part in her where she is a fighter. Whether you've got position on her, whether you've got top position, whether you're out grappling or not, she is giving it hell every second of the fight. We've seen it before. So this one, for I think just the right reasons, has me excited. It's got you excited. I don't think everybody yet who's coming to the fight will realize how exciting this fight should be and is going to be, but I think they're going to find out quickly.
Hmm.
Once the bell rings, once these two ladies enter the cage and the bell rings, I think everyone is going to agree with us, or they're going to at least say, okay, now I see why you guys were excited about these last two fights. So from Nowicki to Buxton, Scorpion Fighting System moves from the co-main to the main event. We will have a featherweight amateur title fight. Our current reigning, defending champion, the Mare Bear, Mary Rosenbeck, is back in the house. She's done a little traveling here since we last saw her and has upset the apple cart in some different areas of the state and different promotions. Who I think I think we both agree was bringing Mary in against the hometown girl. And she's been out there pissing people off, but now she's back. And again, you kind of stalk social media and stuff like that. I get so invigorated and excited watching Mary be excited about a fight that she has coming up. She is just through her social media post, you can tell she's on pins and needles to compete this Friday night. She is ready to fucking fight, and she well. She is, not to sound cliche, she's made for this. But she has got a game 2-1 Sierra Buxton, who is coming down from Michigan with her teammates, main eventing, closing out the show, and they are here to take that strap back to Michigan. Make no bones about it. This is a featherweight amateur title fight, champion versus challenger. Tim, what do you see in this one?
Well, potentially 5 rounds. Last time out, Mary won that title against Samantha Buttery in a bloody 5-round affair that was awesome. I had the Joe rocking. That's just how Mary rolls, man. She's balls to the wall. She's going to come out guns blazing. She's looking to bang. She has shored up her grappling there. Now still training with Jeff Powell on the striking, but now over at Militia MMA with Tom Galicchio, shore up the grappling deficiencies, which was probably the culprit for several of her losses. Mary comes in at, I think she listed herself as 6-6. I had her down as 5-5, but she must have a couple that didn't make Tapology, but 6-6 is what she listed herself out as. And I know that it was some holes in her grappling game that led to several of her losses early in her career. But if you kind of like split that in half, and just look at like the second half of her career, she's on a streak. She's rolling now. Like, don't be fooled by the 500 record. She's, it's what have you done for me lately here? And she's been looking very good all around. Takedown defense is very good. Her boxing is very good. She's tough. You're going to have to kill her to get her out of there. She's not gonna roll over. Buxton seems to be cut from the same cloth. Both these ladies have said they want to go out there and strike. They both want that TKO belt. They're looking to go home with 2 belts. And honestly, this fight I kind of peg as one of those fights that do have a legitimate claim at getting this thing. So, I don't know that we're going to go all 5 rounds. I think it could, but the way that these ladies match up style wise, I think that the knockout is certainly in play. I'm excited for it, man. It's you talk about upsetting the apple cart out in West Tennessee. That was weird to see because all we've ever seen of Mary is just like the sweetest person ever. So nice. Can't imagine her ever making anybody mad. Same for Tom Galicchio. These guys, they're always so just, they're well mannered, as it were. But they've got that fight in them. They got that dog in them, and I think that she's gonna have her hands full with Buxton, and Buxton's gonna be coached up. And James Gray at Scorpion Fighting Systems, they know this is going to be a tough fight for them coming in, and I think that this is a good one to end the night on. That Joe is going to be rocking for this one. Mary's crowd is very passionate, very rowdy, and man, should be just fireworks to end the night.
Yeah, I can't imagine at this point there's any reason for your seat at the Joe if you're not standing and screaming on this one. The crowd again may not know Sierra Buxton, but we've talked to her, we've done our research, and this one is going to be one of those, I think, classic stand in the middle of the ring, stand in the middle of the cage, plant your feet in the old proverbial tire, one foot in the tire, and let's just swing until somebody goes down type of fights. One thing you can do your research on Mary Rosenbeck, but I think one thing you just don't really grasp until you watch her compete is, again, she reminds me of the Terminator. You've watched any of the, especially Terminator 1, where it doesn't matter what you do, they just keep coming forward, they just keep coming after you. And that's how she fights. We've seen her busted up, and just again dictating the pace of a fight, coming forward. She's getting hit with counters and things, but just keeps coming forward. And we've talked to her opponents in the past where they have just said, what does it take to stop her? What does it take to get her to stop walking forward? And Buxton, in our interview, made no bones about it. She goes, I want to stay standing. Let's go for that belt. Yeah, if we got to get down on the ground, we'll get down on the ground. But why not? Let's just stand there and throw and see who falls first. So, man, it's going to be a wild ride. Again, I think the majority of the Michigan crowd will be there for Nowicki, but the great thing about coming with teammates, man, is they will support each other, and their fans support the other fighters from the team because there's that common bond there. So all those Nowicki fans are going to be in the house, and they're Scorpion fans too. And Buxton has also sold tickets under her own name, so let's not get that twisted. She's got people coming too. So you put that Rosenbeck fan base and now this Michigan crew down, and then just the organicness of what a female MMA fight seems to do at the Joe.
Mhm.
Everybody takes notice. Everybody stands at attention, and everybody gets behind it. So you mix in all those three factors. What a way to end the night, man.
No doubt, man. It's all going down this Friday night. We're only 2 days away. Weigh-ins tomorrow. World famous Cotton Eye Joe this Friday, January 6th, Aries 14. You can catch it on spectationsports.com. Side note, it's a monthly subscription there. So if you sign up to watch them on Friday, I saw they just picked up Cage Titans out of Massachusetts, which is a really good promotion. There's really good fighters out there. You watch that show for nothing. You'll be subscribed and catch a doubleheader there, as well as any other events that happen. There's other events on through January as well. There's a showcase event as well. So not a bad deal when you look at it that way. You can get your tickets. There's no substitute for being there live. Get your tickets at fightertix.com. The floor is almost sold out. Get those while you can. I don't think they'll be available by fight night on the floor, but plenty big enough venue for GA. So excited for this one, Jeff. Any parting words before we sign out of here?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We can end the show. We've touched on it a little bit with some of these bout sponsorships, but again, it is January 2023. We had a great 2022, and we started out the end part of 2021. But I've got to go ahead and run through the list of sponsors that have jumped on or stayed with us for 2023. Knoxville Mortgage Brokers is continuing on and chugging along with us, sponsoring the Red Corner. My Golf Vacation. Our man Scott, who was with Allure Properties, still with Allure Properties, but his other venture, mygolfvacation.com, he has stayed on with us, and he will be sponsoring the Blue Corner. We've talked about the Tennessee Army National Guard. They kind of stepped on at the end of the year, but this is kind of their coming out party, if you will, with the new canvas that'll be unveiled. So the Tennessee Army National Guard, Smoky Mountain CBD, we've talked about them and the great gifts that they give. All our VIP tables are of the night awards. So Smoky Mountain CBD, thank you guys so much for sticking on. Tranquility is still in the house. Tranquility Construction. always at the shows, kind of that silent sponsor who just really likes to support the show, come unannounced and just slide into his seats and enjoy the show, really. And we love that. Warrior Home Improvement is still with us this year. They have moved over to the very valuable backdrop step and repeat sponsorship this year, making sure that Warrior Home Improvement logo is at each and every event, every weigh-in pick, and all the fan picks that are taken during the show. Warrior Home Improvement is still on, and they are accompanied by Valerie Kemp, a CPA, certified public accountant, right outside here of Nashville, who's been just a huge supporter of all combat sports, boxing as well. Been a supporter of mine in any venture that I've been involved with in MMA. So when we come to Nashville, she's been on board, but now she has just jumped on Aries, regardless of where we're fighting at. She will be on that step and repeat as well. And KGO, Keep Going Official Nutrition, is going to be in the house Friday night. They are sticking around in 2023. They will have their booth up as usual at the show with a lot of free product for you to try, but stock and inventory there for you to buy if you want to take some home with you. So that's how I wanted to wrap up the show and just run through all those 2023 sponsors.
Hey, I love it, man. We appreciate those sponsors. We love you guys. Couldn't do it without you, literally. One last thing for Smoky Mountain CBD. If you go to SmokyMountainCBD.com and order your swag, use code Aries15. You get 50% off of your purchase. So make sure you use promo code Aries15. Get you some of those gummies. They're great. And if you're not into that kind of thing, the roll-on pain relief sticks are great. It's a little miracle. It works real quick. That's going to do it, folks. That's our Aries 14. It goes down, and once again this Friday night. Catch on spectationsports.com or tickets at fightertix.com. Jeff, we'll see you guys at the weigh-ins tomorrow, and we'll look forward to another big night, another big year of fights. Also, shout out to Chuck Ward at the Cotton Eye Joe. That's always a great time at the Cotton Eye Joe. You can't beat it. The atmosphere is awesome. We're going to be there many times this year, so make sure you're there with us. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Let us know which fight you're looking forward to the most. And until next time, for Jeff Hobbs, I'm Tim Lloyd. We're going to sign out for this edition of the 0 Hour. We'll be back with a recap next week.